Hyun Bin melts hearts. Spotted in the Philippines after a high-energy fan meet. The beloved actor was seen shopping for son Ye-jin and their adorable baby Alkong. But was this just a sweet family errand, or is there a deeper, told story behind his every choice? Join Red Carpet Revealed as we follow his steps, uncover the heartfelt details, and reveal why this simple outing has fans around the world swooning. Starting now. The air inside the SM Mall of Asia Arena was thick with anticipation. The kind of buzzing energy that only builds when thousands of fans gather for a single reason, to see Hyun Bin in person. Outside, the humid Manila evening was alive with chatter. Vendors selling unofficial merchandise. Faint sound of K-drama hosts playing from portable speakers. Inside, every seat was filled. Camera phones were held high. Banners waved with declarations of love. And the massive LED screen flash highlight reels from Hyun Bin's career, each clip met with ear-splitting cheers. When he finally stepped onto the stage, dressed in a crisp white shirt and tailored navy blazer, the noise swelled into a wave that seemed to crash over him. He smiled, that soft, almost shy smile that had melted audiences for over a decade, and waved as if greeting old friends. The fan meet began with the usual segments, light-hearted Q&A, games with selected audience members, reenactments of his most famous drama scenes. But there was something else in the air that night, something gentler. When a fan asked about his family, Hyun Bin's smile deepened. "They're my greatest joy," he said without hesitation. His voice warm but steady. "Everything I do now, I do for them." It wasn't a scripted answer, it had the ring of sincerity. The kind that leaves a quiet ache in the hearts of those listening. The audience erupted into applause, but his eyes, for a brief second, seemed far away. As though picturing son Ye-jin and little Alkong waiting somewhere beyond the lights. After 2 hours of laughter, games, and heartfelt moments, the event came to a close. Hyun Bin thanked the fans in English, Tagalog, and Korean. His effort to connect drawing more cheers. He bowed deeply before walking off stage. The roar of the crowd echoing behind him. Most thought that would be the last they'd see of him that night. But somewhere beyond the arena, another story was quietly unfolding. Less than an hour later, a handful of fans lingering near a nearby luxury mall spotted a familiar figure walking through its glass doors. There was no entourage of screaming fans this time. Only 2 discreet security personnel a few steps behind. Hyun Bin was dressed casually now, black cap pulled low, a soft gray t-shirt under a light jacket, and sneakers. Yet even in this understated attire, presence drew second glances from passers-by. He moved with a quiet purpose, glancing at storefronts before entering a boutique children's store. Inside, the warm glow of recessed lighting illuminated neatly arranged racks of tiny clothes, soft toys, and pastel baby accessories. A store clerk, clearly startled to see who had just walked in, composed herself and greeted him with a polite smile. Bin smiled back, speaking softly as he explained what he was looking for. Picked up a small cream-colored baby cardigan, running his fingers over the fabric as though testing its softness. He moved to the display of plush toys, pausing at a stuffed bunny with long floppy ears. Turned it over in his hands, the faintest of smiles tugging at his lips. It wasn't just the items he chose, it was how he chose them. He seemed to picture how they would look in Alkong's small hands, how the baby would react to the texture, the colors. At one point, he crouched slightly to examine a shelf of miniature sneakers, holding up a tiny pair of white shoes no bigger than his palm. The scene was tender, almost cinematic. No press, no flashing lights, no expectation to perform. This was Hyun Bin, the father, the husband, not the global superstar. And yet, it was this version of him that would soon capture the world's attention. A young couple browsing nearby recognized him but said nothing, only watching as he carefully selected a few items and brought them to the counter. He paid quickly, a polite bow to the clerk before slipping back out into the mall's quieter evening corridors. But his night wasn't over. Next, he wandered into a women's boutique. This time, his attention was focused on a rack of silk scarves. He picked up one in the shade of blush pink, holding it up to the light. Those who know son Ye-jin's style would recognize it instantly. Soft, feminine, understated elegance. A question to the store clerk, nodding at the answer before making the purchase. By the time he left the mall, only a handful of people had noticed his presence. But among them were 2 fans who, while respectful of his space. Resist snapping a few discreet photos from a distance. By the next morning, those photos would spread across social media like wildfire. The first posts appeared just after dawn, uploaded by a fan account on Twitter with the caption, "After last night's fan meet in Manila, Hyun was spotted shopping for baby and women's items. Our hearts are melting." Attached were 3 grainy yet unmistakable photos: Hyun at the children's store holding the tiny cardigan, Hyun at the plush toy display, Hyun in the women's boutique with a pink scarf. In hours, the post had been retweeted thousands of times. Instagram fan pages reposted it, in captions like "Family Man Hyun in action" and "This is the Hyun we adore." The hashtags HyunBinPH, Family Man Hyun, and for Ye-jin and Alkong began trending. News outlets in the Philippines picked up the story almost immediately. Local entertainment programs ran segments showing the fan photos alongside clips from the fan meet. "It's one thing to charm a crowd of thousands," one anchor said, "but it's another to melt hearts with such quiet, genuine gestures." In South Korea, the coverage was just as warm. Articles framed the shopping trip as a touching display of Hyunbin's devotion to his family. Some recalled past interviews where he spoke about wanting to be a hands-on father, about cherishing the small, everyday moments. Seeing him in action, choosing clothes and toys for Alkong, selecting a scarf for Ye-jin, made those words feel all the more real. Fans filled comment sections with emotional responses. "I can just imagine Ye-jin's smile when he gives her that scarf," one wrote. "This is what real love looks like," another added. "I've sent someone else to shop, but he did it himself." The difference. The staff from the children's store later spoke to a lifestyle blog, sharing small details about his visit. "He was very polite, very soft-spoken," one employee said. "He took his time, talked about the materials, and seemed genuinely interested in making sure the items were perfect," another added. "When he saw the little bunny plush, his expression softened in such a way, it was like he could already see his baby holding it." For many, this story became about more than just celebrity gossip. It became a reminder that behind the spotlight, Hyun was living the kind of moments any parent treasures. Actions resonated not just with fans, but with anyone who understands the quiet joy of bringing something home for a loved one. In the days that followed, memes and fan edits multiplied. One particularly popular video paired the shopping photos with clips of Hyun as Captain Ri from Crash Landing on You, set to a gentle piano track. Caption read, "From protecting Yoon Se-ri to shopping for Ye-jin, some roles last a lifetime." Even more touching was Son Ye-jin's subtle nod to the event. A week later, she posted an Instagram story featuring a bouquet of fresh flowers and a folded pink scarf resting on a chair. She didn't tag or caption the photo. Fans immediately recognized it as the one Hyun had purchased in Manila. The comments exploded with heart emojis and congratulatory messages, even though nothing was explicitly confirmed. Through it all, Hyun remained silent. The story lived its own life. But perhaps that silence spoke volumes. In an industry often fueled by spectacle, sometimes the most powerful statements are the ones made without a word, through actions, through choices. Through the gentle way a man picks out a cardigan for his baby and a scarf for his wife. By the time the buzz began to fade, the images of that night had already cemented themselves in fans' memories. They were more than paparazzi shots, they were glimpses into a private world, shared with the public not through press releases but through moments so sincere they couldn't be staged. And so, the Manila fan meet became more than just an event. It became the prologue to a quieter story, one told in mall aisles and store counters, in soft fabrics and tiny shoes, in the small, deliberate acts of love that speak louder than any headline. Because in the end, it wasn't the roar of the arena that melted hearts across the world. It was the image of Hyun, where in the glow of a Manila evening, holding a little bunny plush and smiling as if you were already home. Thank you for reading. We're deeply grateful that you joined us in reliving this touching chapter of Hyun's life. Your love for these stories, and for the people who inspire them, is what drives Red Carpet Revealed to keep bringing you moments that warm the heart and spark the imagination. Until the next story unfolds. Thank you for being here with us.